You've been told your entire life that fruit is healthy, nature's perfect food, packed with vitamins, minerals, and fiber. But what if some of the fruits you're eating daily are actually causing blood sugar spikes more extreme than a candy bar would? What if that healthy morning glass of juice is triggering inflammation that worsens your joint pain or accelerates cognitive decline? As we age, our bodies process carbohydrates differently. After 65, insulin sensitivity naturally decreases by approximately 40% compared to younger adults, making blood sugar regulation significantly more challenging. This physiological change means that certain fruits affect your body very differently now than they did decades ago. Today, I'm sharing important information about which fruits may be creating unexpected health challenges for seniors, why your changing metabolism makes this particularly relevant now, and how to enjoy the benefits of fruit without the potential downsides. This isn't about eliminating fruit from your diet. It's about making informed choices that support your health in this specific life stage. Before examining specific fruits, it's important to understand why your body processes them differently after 65 than it did in previous decades. Several age-related physiological changes make certain fruits more problematic now. First, your insulin response changes significantly. Pancreatic function naturally decreases with age, while insulin resistance increases. This means your body struggles more to manage blood sugar fluctuations, creating both short-term symptoms like energy crashes and potential long-term complications. Second, inflammation regulation becomes less efficient. The inflammatory response to blood sugar spikes tends to be more pronounced and prolonged in older adults, potentially exacerbating conditions like arthritis, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline. Third, your microbiome composition shifts with age, altering how fruit sugars are processed in your digestive system. This can increase sensitivity to certain types of fruit sugars that caused no issues in your younger years. Fourth, your body composition typically changes, with muscle mass decreasing and fat percentage increasing. Since muscle tissue is a primary site for glucose disposal, reduced muscle mass further compromises your ability to efficiently process fruit sugars. These physiological changes don't mean fruit becomes unhealthy after 65, but they do require more thoughtful consideration about which fruits you consume, in what quantities, and how they're prepared. Understanding these distinctions can help you enjoy the nutritional benefits of fruits while avoiding potential negative effects on your health. Let's examine the specific fruits that may pose particular challenges for seniors due to these age-related changes. 1. Tropical fruits with extreme sugar concentrations. Many tropical fruits contain significantly higher sugar concentrations than their temperate counterparts, creating particular challenges for seniors' changing metabolism. Mangoes, for instance, contain approximately 30 grams of sugar per fruit, equivalent to about 7 teaspoons of table sugar, with minimal fiber to slow absorption. The glycemic index, GI, of ripe mangoes typically ranges from 51 to 60, with glycemic load, which accounts for typical serving size, reaching up to 20 per serving. For seniors with decreased insulin sensitivity, this creates a substantial blood sugar impact. Similar concerns apply to other tropical fruits like pineapple, 16 g sugar per cup with a GI around 65, papaya, approximately 18 sugar per cup, and especially bananas, whose sugar content and glycemic impact increase dramatically as they ripen. A fully ripe banana can contain up to 20 gallons of sugar, with a glycemic index approaching 70, higher than some candy bars. What makes these fruits particularly challenging for seniors is the ratio of sugar to fiber. While all whole fruits contain some fiber, these tropical varieties often deliver 4 to 5 times more sugar than fiber per serving. For older adults with decreasing insulin sensitivity, this ratio simply doesn't provide enough moderating effect to prevent significant blood sugar fluctuations. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition and Healthy Aging found that adults over 65 showed substantially higher and more prolonged blood glucose elevations after consuming tropical fruits compared to both younger adults and to seniors consuming lower glycemic fruits like berries. These prolonged elevations correlated with increased inflammatory markers, particularly concerning for seniors managing inflammatory conditions. This doesn't mean you need to eliminate mangoes or bananas entirely. Rather, consider these strategic approaches. Consume tropical fruits in their less ripe state when sugar content is lower and resistant starch content is higher. Reduce portion sizes to about half of what you might have enjoyed in previous decades. Perhaps half a banana rather than a whole one. Always pair these fruits with protein or healthy fat sources that slow sugar absorption, such as a small handful of nuts or seeds. Consider these fruits occasional treats rather than daily staples, especially if you're managing conditions affected by blood sugar fluctuations. Avoid consuming these fruits in isolated settings, such as between meals, when their blood sugar impact would be most pronounced. Many seniors find that strategic consumption of these fruits, enjoying smaller portions, paired with protein, and at appropriate ripeness, allows them to occasionally include these nutritious options without the negative effects of blood sugar destabilization. 2. All fruit juices, even 100% natural ones. Perhaps no fruit product creates more significant metabolic challenges for seniors than juice, even varieties labeled 100% natural or no sugar added. The reason relates directly to the physiological changes mentioned earlier. Fruit juice essentially delivers all the sugar of whole fruit while removing most or all of the fiber that would slow sugar absorption. A typical 8-ounce glass of apple juice contains approximately 24 grams of sugar, equivalent to 6 teaspoons, with minimal fiber. Orange juice contains about 22 grams per 8-ounce serving, grape juice approximately 38 grams. For seniors with naturally declining insulin sensitivity, this sugar load enters the bloodstream rapidly, creating dramatic spikes followed by corresponding crashes. Research from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that adults over 70 consuming fruit juice daily showed blood glucose fluctuations comparable to those produced by consuming sugar-sweetened beverages. Even more concerning, these blood sugar spikes appear to have more significant inflammatory consequences in older adults. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults over 65 showed greater inflammatory marker elevation after consuming fruit juice compared to younger adults drinking identical portions. This inflammation has potential implications for cognitive health, joint pain, and cardiovascular function. The glycemic index of fruit juices typically ranges from 40 to 70 depending on the specific fruit, but their glycemic load, which accounts for typical serving size, often exceeds 20, considered high impact and particularly problematic for those with decreasing insulin sensitivity. What makes juice especially challenging from a behavioral perspective is that many seniors increase their juice consumption based on decades-old health advice promoting it as a healthy choice. These recommendations rarely accounted for the significant physiological changes that make juice more problematic after 65. Instead of juice, consider these alternatives. Whole fruits that provide fiber along with vitamins and minerals. Infused water with a small amount of fruit for flavor. Herbal teas, either hot or iced, which provide flavor without sugar impact. If you truly enjoy juice, dilute it 50-50 with water and limit to 4 ounces occasionally rather than daily. If using juice for medication purposes, consider taking medications with water and consuming a small piece of whole fruit separately. Making this adjustment often yields noticeable improvements in energy stability, reduction in joint discomfort, and better overall metabolic measurements within 3-4 weeks. A relatively quick return on a simple dietary adjustment. 3. Dried fruits with concentrated sugars. Dried fruits represent another category that creates particular challenges for seniors' changing metabolism. The dehydration process concentrates natural sugars into small volumes, making it easy to consume substantial sugar loads without the satiety signals that whole fruits would provide. Consider raisins as a common example. A quarter cup serving contains approximately 29 grams of sugar, equivalent to 7 teaspoons, in a volume most seniors could consume in seconds. Similarly concentrated options include dried mangoes, 30 grams sugar per quarter cup, dried cherries, 29 grams per quarter cup, and dates, 18 grams sugar in just 2 medjool dates. The glycemic impact of these concentrated fruits becomes significantly more challenging for seniors whose insulin sensitivity has naturally decreased. Research from the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults over 65 showed substantially higher and more prolonged blood glucose elevations after consuming dried fruits compared to both younger adults and to seniors consuming equivalent amounts of sugar from whole fruits. What makes dried fruits particularly problematic for seniors is how they're typically consumed. As snacks between meals, often in multiple handfuls rather than measured portions, and frequently without accompanying protein or fat that might moderate their blood sugar impact. Additionally, many commercial dried fruits contain added sugars or preservatives, like sulfites, which can cause additional issues for seniors with sensitivities or respiratory conditions. These additives often go unnoticed since they're considered standard in processing rather than being highlighted on packaging. This doesn't mean all dried fruits must be eliminated. Consider these more strategic approaches. Dramatically reduce portion sizes to about 1/3 of what you might have consumed in previous decades, perhaps 1 to 2 tablespoons rather than a handful. Always pair dried fruits with protein sources like nuts or cheese that moderate blood sugar. Impact looks specifically for unsulfured, no sugar added varieties when choosing dried fruits. Consider dried fruits as occasional ingredients in recipes rather than standalone snacks. Explore freeze-dried berries as alternatives, which typically have less sugar concentration while maintaining nutritional benefits. Many seniors find that these strategic adjustments allow them to occasionally enjoy the convenience and flavor of dried fruits without the negative impacts of blood sugar destabilization. For those managing diabetes or prediabetes, however, even these modified approaches may create challenges, making fresh, low glycemic fruits a better option. 4. Fruit smoothies, even homemade ones. Fruit smoothies have been promoted as healthy options for decades, but they present several challenges specifically relevant to seniors' changing metabolism. Even homemade versions without added sugar can create significant blood sugar impacts due to how they're processed by aging digestive systems. The primary issue involves mechanical processing. Blending fruits breaks down their cellular structure, making sugars more immediately available for absorption. For seniors with naturally decreased insulin sensitivity, this acceleration can lead to more pronounced blood sugar spikes than eating the same fruits whole. A typical fruit smoothie might contain 2 to 3 servings of fruit, perhaps a banana, a cup of berries, and a mango, delivering 30 to 45 grams of sugar in a format that's quickly consumed and rapidly absorbed. For older adults managing insulin resistance or diabetes, this concentrated sugar load can prove particularly challenging to process efficiently. Research published in Diabetes Care found that adults over 60 showed significantly higher post-consumption glucose levels after drinking fruit smoothies compared to eating the same fruits whole. The researchers noted that blending appeared to accelerate sugar absorption while diminishing the satiety signals that whole fruits would provide. Even more concerning for seniors is the potential impact on medication effectiveness. Many older adults take medications that interact with certain fruits, particularly citrus, and these interactions can be intensified in smoothie form, where concentration is higher and consumption is rapid. This doesn't mean smoothies must be eliminated entirely, but rather reconsidered and reformulated with seniors' specific physiological needs in mind. Reduce fruit content to no more than 1 total serving per smoothie, approximately 15 g on sugar maximum. Include substantial protein sources like Greek yogurt, protein powder, or nut butters to moderate blood sugar impact. Add healthy fats such as avocado, ground flaxseed, or chia seeds, which slow absorption and increase satiety. Incorporate vegetables like spinach, kale, or cucumber to increase nutrient density while reducing sugar concentration. Consider berries as your primary fruit ingredient, as they provide the lowest sugar impact with the highest antioxidant benefits. Many seniors find that reformulated smoothies, emphasizing protein, healthy fats, and vegetables with modest fruit inclusion, provide nutritional benefits without the negative effects of traditional fruit-heavy versions. These modified smoothies often prove particularly valuable for those with chewing difficulties or dental issues that limit consumption of whole fruits. 5. Modern hybridized super-sweet varieties. An often overlooked factor in fruit's metabolic impact involves the significant changes in commercially available varieties over recent decades. Many modern fruits have been specifically bred for increased sweetness, creating options that contain substantially more sugar than the varieties you may have grown up eating. Modern apple varieties provide a clear example. Newer varieties like Honeycrisp, Pink Lady, and Ambrosia typically contain 15 to 20% more sugar than traditional varieties like McIntosh or Granny Smith. Similar sweetness increases appear in modern grape varieties, stone fruits, and melons, creating higher glycemic impacts, particularly relevant to seniors' changing metabolism. What makes this especially challenging is that these sweetness changes occurred gradually over decades, often without consumers realizing the shift. The apple varieties available today simply contain more sugar than those available 30-50 years ago, creating different metabolic effects despite seemingly identical food choices. Research from the International Journal of Obesity found that adults over 65 showed greater blood glucose elevations after consuming modern apple varieties compared to heritage varieties with equivalent fiber content, suggesting the increased sugar concentration presents particular challenges for aging metabolic systems. For seniors managing conditions affected by blood sugar fluctuations, these hybridized high-sugar varieties may create significant metabolic challenges despite their reputation as healthy choices. The issue becomes particularly relevant for those consuming multiple servings of fruit daily as part of what they believe to be a health-promoting diet. Instead of eliminating these fruits, consider these strategic approaches. Select naturally tart varieties that typically contain less sugar. Granny Smith apples rather than Honeycrisp, for instance. Choose fruits slightly underripe rather than at peak sweetness when sugar content is typically lower. Pair modern sweet varieties with protein or fat sources that moderate their glycemic impact. Adjust portion sizes downward to account for increased sugar concentration, perhaps half an apple rather than a whole one. Explore heritage or heirloom varieties available at farmers' markets, which often contain less sugar than their commercial counterparts. Many seniors find that these adjustments allow them to continue enjoying familiar fruits while minimizing negative impacts on blood sugar stability, energy levels, and inflammation. The key is recognizing that all apples, or grapes, or peaches are not created equal from a metabolic perspective, particularly for aging bodies. The better alternatives: low glycemic fruits that support senior health. While certain fruits create metabolic challenges for seniors, others provide remarkable health benefits with minimal glycemic impact. These options deliver valuable nutrients, antioxidants, and fiber while working with rather than against aging metabolic systems. Berries represent the gold standard for senior-friendly fruits. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries typically contain half the sugar of tropical fruits while providing 2 to 3 times more fiber per serving. This favorable sugar-to-fiber ratio helps moderate blood sugar impact while delivering exceptional antioxidant benefits, particularly relevant to brain health, cardiovascular function, and inflammation regulation. Research published in the Journals of Gerontology found that adults over 65 consuming berries 3 or more times weekly showed significantly better cognitive performance over a 5-year period compared to those consuming them less than once monthly. The researchers noted that anthocyanins, compounds that give berries their vibrant colors, appear particularly beneficial for brain health during aging. Beyond berries, several other fruits provide favorable profiles for seniors. Cherries, particularly tart varieties, contain compounds that may help reduce inflammation and improve sleep quality, 2 issues particularly relevant to many seniors. With moderate sugar content and valuable anthocyanins, they represent a good option when consumed in appropriate portions. Kiwi fruits offer exceptional vitamin C content, more than oranges, with relatively modest sugar impact. Research suggests they may support immune function and sleep quality, both increasingly important with age. Green apples provide pectin and other fibers that support gut health while delivering fewer sugars than sweeter varieties. Their crisp texture also provides oral stimulation that can increase satiety compared to softer fruits. Avocados, technically fruits, deliver healthy monounsaturated fats with minimal sugar impact, making them ideal for seniors managing blood sugar concerns. Their fat content supports absorption of fat-soluble vitamins and provides sustained energy without glycemic fluctuations. Stone fruits like plums and apricots, when consumed slightly underripe, provide moderate sugar content with beneficial fibers and antioxidants. Their naturally tart flavor profiles make them satisfying in smaller portions that limit sugar load. For optimal benefit, consider these consumption strategies. Consume these lower glycemic fruits earlier in the day when insulin sensitivity is typically higher. Incorporate them into meals containing protein and healthy fat rather than eating them in isolation. Consider portion control. Even with these better options, a reasonable serving of berries is 3/4 to 1 cup, not unlimited quantities. Explore various preparation methods that enhance palatability without adding sugars, such as light grilling or roasting. which can intensify natural sweetness. Rotate between different options to obtain varied nutrient profiles rather than consuming the same fruits consistently. Many seniors report significant improvements in energy stability, digestive comfort, and even cognitive clarity when shifting their fruit consumption toward these lower glycemic options while moderating intake of the more problematic varieties discussed earlier. The fruits we've examined, tropical varieties, juices, dried fruits, smoothies, and modern hybridized sweet varieties, create particular challenges for seniors due to the natural metabolic changes that occur with aging. These challenges don't mean fruit becomes unhealthy after 65, but they do require more thoughtful consideration about which fruits you consume, in what quantities, and how they're prepared. What makes this topic particularly important is how dramatically recommendations have changed over time. Many seniors increased their fruit consumption based on decades-old advice promoting it as universally healthy, without considering how aging affects the body's response to different types of carbohydrates. This creates a disconnect between established habits and current physiological needs. The solution isn't eliminating fruit, but rather adopting a more nuanced approach that accounts for your body's changing needs. By making strategic adjustments to which fruits you choose, when you consume them, and how you incorporate them into your overall diet, you can enjoy their benefits while minimizing potential downsides. Consider implementing these practical principles. First, shift your fruit choices toward lower glycemic options, particularly berries and other fruits with favorable sugar-to-fiber ratios. These provide excellent nutritional value with minimal blood sugar impact, working with rather than against your changing metabolism. Second, be mindful of portion sizes, recognizing that appropriate servings may be smaller than in previous decades. A half cup of berries, half a green apple, or a small plum might provide benefits without overwhelming your metabolic capacity. Third, always consume fruit as part of balanced meals or snacks rather than in isolation. Pairing fruit with protein, healthy fats, or fiber-rich foods significantly moderates its glycemic impact while potentially enhancing nutrient absorption. Fourth, consider timing. Consuming fruit earlier in the day when insulin sensitivity is typically higher, rather than in the evening when metabolic efficiency naturally decreases. Fifth, be particularly cautious with fruit juices, dried fruits, and sweetened fruit products, which deliver concentrated sugar loads that can be especially challenging for aging metabolic systems. When consuming these options, dramatic portion control becomes essential. Finally, listen to your body's responses, recognizing that individual variations in metabolism, microbiome composition, and health conditions create different tolerance levels for various fruits. The energy, digestion, and comfort signals your body provides after consuming specific fruits offer valuable feedback about their suitability for your current physiology. Remember that your dietary needs evolve throughout life, just as your interests, activities, and other aspects of your identity continue to develop. Adapting your fruit choices to support your body's current needs isn't admitting defeat. It's a profound form of self-care that honors your changing physiology while supporting your continued vitality and well-being. As we conclude our exploration of how fruit affects seniors differently, I hope you feel empowered rather than restricted. Understanding your body's changing needs allows you to make informed choices that support your health while still enjoying the pleasures of delicious, nutritious fruits. I encourage you to experiment with the alternatives and strategies we've discussed. Pay attention to how different choices affect your energy, comfort, cognitive clarity, and overall well-being. This mindful approach often reveals connections between specific fruits and symptoms you might not have previously recognized. If you found this information valuable, please share it with others who might benefit from understanding these important distinctions. Subscribe to our channel for more content addressing the specific nutritional considerations of adults over 65, with practical, evidence-based approaches. Remember that adjusting your diet to your changing physiological needs represents wisdom rather than limitation. By honoring your body's current requirements, you create the foundation for continued health, energy, and independence throughout your senior years.